Section 42 is a public duty that's imposed upon all public services. There are about 17% of the Irish population that comprises of ethnic minorities here in Ireland. And basically, to fully serve the public, all policy and all policy makers, public servants and any service providers, they need to have due regard to equality, diversity, interculturalism, human rights. And so as we progress to a more diverse island, interculturalism needs to be embedded in all legal and policy development. And so to this end, Section 42 plays a key role. So all public bodies in Ireland have responsibility to promote equality, to prevent discrimination, to protect human rights of not just their employees, but also their customers, the service users, and everyone who's affected by their policies and plans. It's a legal obligation, what we call the public sector equality and human rights duty. And you can find that in Section 42 of the Irish Human Rights and Equality Act of 2014. Now, I'm a law lecturer, and every time I'm teaching my students, like, oh, an Act 2014, you know, there's all these acts. How do I know which ones apply? Well, what I always say to them is that all laws apply. And so in the first place, it's about knowing where to find them. And I suppose as a lecturer, it would be remiss of you not to tell you where to find them. You can find the Irish Human Rights and Equality Act on the irishstatutebook.ie. If you type that into Google, irishstatutebook.ie, it'll bring up the act. And go to Section 42, have a look at what it says, because it does prescribe some duties on public service providers and the public bodies in general. And thankfully, we have the Irish Human Rights Equality Commission, who've published a framework for public service providers to implement this duty into their framework. And it's very simple. It's to assess, address, and report. And I suppose before I hand over to Selena, who will start us off in this conversation about Section 42, I think it's important to note that the public sector duty is not just a duty for the public sector, but it is a duty placed on all of us as human beings. Because these are human rights provisions, we need to recognize that as human beings, we also have this duty to ensure that our employers, our public providers, that they are assessing the needs of their employees, their service users, that they assess the human rights obligations that might impact their relevant services. And then to address those problems, I think that's probably the most important, is to address those concerns. And then to report based on data and evidence on the success of the implementation or the outcome. What was the outcome of the solution to the issue? And so it's, you know, 3 simple steps that public servants can utilize in their policies to ensure that they promote the Section 42 human rights duty. Enough from me. We'll come back to me after the speakers, and we'll engage in a conversation about what equality means and how public servants can utilize this section and how we can benefit from Section 42.